their populations. If we do those three things, we know the fisheries will come back. How do we know? We know because we've seen it happening in a lot of different places. This is a slide that shows the herring population in Norway that was crashing since the 1950s, was coming down, and when Norway set limits or quotas on its fishery, what happens? The fishery comes back. This is another example, also happens to be from Norway, of the Norwegian Arctic cod. Same deal, fishery is crashing. They set limits on discards. Discards are these fish they weren't targeting, they get thrown overboard wastefully. When they set the discard limit, the fishery came back. And it's not just in Norway. We've seen this happening in countries all around the world, time and time again. When these countries step in and they put in sustainable fisheries management policies, the fisheries, which are always crashing it seems, are starting to come back. So there's a lot of promise here. What does this mean for the world fish catch? This means that we could take that fishery catch that's on the decline and we could turn it upwards. We could increase it up to 100 million metric tons per year. So we didn't have peak fish yet. We still have an opportunity to not only bring the fish back, but to actually get more fish that can feed more people than we currently are now. How many more? Right about now, we can feed about 450 million people a fish meal a day based on current world fish catch, which, of course, you know, is going down. So that number will go down over time if we don't fix it. But if we put fishery management practices like the ones I've described in place in 10 to 25 countries, we could bring that number up and feed as many as 700 million people a year a healthy fish meal. We should obviously do this just because it's a good thing to deal with the hunger problem, but it's also cost effective. It turns out fish is the most cost-effective protein on the planet. If you look at how much fish protein you get per dollar invested compared to all the other animal proteins, obviously fish is a good business decision. It also doesn't need a lot of land. It's something that's in short supply compared to other protein sources. And it doesn't need a lot of fresh water. It uses a lot less fresh water than, for example, cattle, where you have to irrigate a field so that you can grow the food to raise the cattle. It also has a very low carbon footprint. It has a little bit of a carbon footprint because we do have to get out and catch the fish. It takes a little bit of fuel. But as you know, agriculture can have a carbon footprint, and fish has a much smaller one, so it's less pollutant. It's already a big part of our diet, but it can be a bigger part of our diet, which is a good thing because we know that it's healthy for us. It can reduce our risk of cancer, heart disease, and obesity. In fact, our CEO, Andy Sharpless, who is the originator of this concept, actually, he likes to say fish is the perfect protein. Andy also talks about the fact that our ocean conservation movement really grew out of the land conservation movement. And in land conservation, we have this problem where biodiversity is at war with food production. You have to cut down the biodiverse forest if you want to get the field to grow the corn to feed people with. And so there's a constant push-pull there. There's a constant tough decision that has to be made between two very important things: maintaining biodiversity and feeding people. But in the oceans, we don't have that war. In the oceans, biodiversity is not at war with abundance. In fact, they're aligned. When we do things that produce biodiversity, we actually get more abundance. And that's important so that we can feed people. Now there's a catch. Didn't anyone get that? Illegal fishing. Illegal fishing undermines the type of sustainable fisheries management I'm talking about. It can be when you catch fish using gears that have been prohibited, when you fish in places where you're not supposed to fish, when you catch fish that are the wrong size or the wrong species. Illegal fishing cheats the consumer, and it also cheats honest fishermen, and it needs to stop. The way illegal fish get into our market is through seafood fraud. You might have heard about this. It's when fish are labeled as something they're not. Think about the last time you had